Now, knowing you, I know that you're aware of the things that people are saying. You're moving up in two-weight classes. You're the smaller man. Whatever you do, Terence Crawford, don't exchange against them. What do you feel you have to do?
Be myself. I'm 41-0 for.
Stephen A. Smith!
Was undefeated for the last half of his career.
For more than 20 years, people thought Floyd's 50-0 record would stand forever. He was untouchable in the ring, a defensive genius who made great fighters look ordinary. But after one unforgettable night, a single statement from the only man who faced them both shook that belief to its core. The argument was no longer just about who was better. It was whether Mayweather's whole era had been passed. The debate exploded the moment Terence Crawford's hand was raised after he defeated Canelo Alvarez in a performance many thought could never be done.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight.
The real shock came later at the post-fight press conference. Reporters asked Canelo to compare Crawford to his former opponent Floyd Mayweather. With the entire boxing world watching, Canelo didn't hesitate and gave his answer without holding back.
If you can, compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence "Bud" Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Coming from the only fighter to share the ring with both men, this wasn't just another opinion. It was a bombshell that rocked the sport. That single line lit a fire under a debate that had been brewing for years, and it quickly pulled in one of boxing's loudest voices. Stephen A. Smith, who had been following closely, admitted he was stunned. Like many, he thought Crawford would stay outside and use his skill to outbox the bigger man. But what he saw was completely different.
I appreciate Crawford making my prediction come through. Coming into the fight, I had him winning by decision. I thought he was the superior boxer. I thought he would be able to take a punch. And as long as he didn't stay there and exchange with Canelo, I thought he could do it. What surprised me is that there were times during the fight, he did stand there and exchange with Canelo and took it. Took some body shots to the liver, took some headshots, exchanged, and still ended up winning this fight. I thought from the 8th round on, he just put on a boxing clinic. I gotta give credit where credit is due. Crawford deserved to win the fight.
Smith said with amazement that Crawford didn't just survive. He went toe-to-toe with Canelo, showing he had toughness as well as skill. In Smith's own words, "What I didn't expect was for him to stand in there and exchange and survive." He did that several times. That's why Smith gave him so much credit. He broke the fight down, scoring it 5-4 for Crawford after 9 rounds, before Crawford dominated the final 3 rounds clearly. He absorbed Canelo's power, fought back, and thrived in moments where most smaller fighters would have broken down.
Crawford is a special fighter because he's got a mean streak. He doesn't back up from anything. He's usually the superior boxer in the ring. He finds a way to win. No matter who he's going up against, no matter what power you have, what boxing skills you have, he is truly a generational kind of fighter. He wants to go in the ring and not just beat you, but show you he was a better man. And he's not one who believes that just a knockout does that. He likes outboxing you and showing you that his skill level is superior to yours. And he showed it tonight.
Smith called it a masterclass and gave Crawford respect, but he wasn't ready to crown him above Mayweather. For him, Floyd was a different kind of master, a ghost in the ring that Crawford, for all his toughness, was not.
Was undefeated for the last half of his career with one hand. he constantly broke his hand.
Yeah.
He would go into a ring knowing he had no shot at knocking somebody out because his hands were hurt too much, and literally walked in the ring and said, I'm gonna embarrass you and humiliate you by showing the world you can't hit me.
This was where Smith drew the line and made an important point. He reminded fans that Floyd Mayweather was a defensive puzzle, a fighter whose main mission was to win without getting touched. With hand injuries throughout the second half of his career, Floyd knew he couldn't depend on knockouts. This wasn't speculation, it was a well-documented fact.
Mayweather looks me in my face and he says, I'm gonna take him out about the 8th or 9th round. And I said, your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're gonna do this? He said, Stephen A., he's a UFC fighter. He said, and he's a striker. He's accustomed to coming at you and throwing punches. What he's not accustomed to doing is punching while he's throwing backwards, while he's moving backwards and pushing you off of him. He says, I'm gonna walk right into him and stay in his chest. He's gonna have to push me off in order to throw his punches. He said he's gonna be circling the ring. He said by around 4 or 5, he's not gonna have any legs. He's gonna be done. And he said, and I'll just toy with him and keep him around until around the 8th or the 9th round. And that is exactly what Floyd Money Mayweather did. He told me exactly what he was gonna do, and he did it.
Mayweather himself admitted his hands were fragile and revealed he couldn't even spar for a month before facing Conor McGregor because of the pain.
You hurt your hand? Huh? I thought you hurt your hand. How about so? Okay. All right. Relax, baby. The job is done already. Put in a bucket of ice, man. Yeah. I'll get a bucket of ice. Kill him.
I'm saying Shane hit me with a hell of a shot. Okay. Actually, 2 shots.
Oh, okay.
But even in that particular round, what I said to Shane was this. I was like,
you dead self said something to him when you grabbed him.
I said, you gotta kill me.
Oh shit. I wasn't ready, bro.
I said that was a good one. I said that was a good one, but you gotta kill me.
Wow.
So you gotta kill me. And did I mean I'm not gonna lie, I meant it.
Adding to the debate, reports suggested that later in his career Mayweather mostly fought in Las Vegas, one of the only places that allowed numbing injections like xylocaine. Many believe this choice showed how badly his hands limited him and why his style relied on defense above all. Instead of relying on power, he made himself nearly untouchable.
Rocky Marciano was 49-0. Before Floyd got to 50-0, he was a heavyweight champ. Did anyone ever consider Rocky Marciano the GOAT? No, not seriously, no. Why would Floyd be considered the GOAT? Because he beat more fighters than Rocky did, more great ones? That's true. But really, Floyd was careful in the way he selected opponents. Don't get that twist. It's not that Floyd didn't fight a lot of great fighters. He did. It's not that I don't think he would have beaten a lot of the tougher fighters than he fought. I think he probably would have, but he didn't do it. He waited. He waited till Pacquiao wasn't at his best anymore. He didn't fight Margarito when Margarito was tearing everyone up. He waited for the right time to fight people. He got paid twice as much for fighting Pacquiao in a less dangerous fight than he would have had he fought him when everyone wanted to see him fight. Floyd is among the all-time greats, but he ain't number one.
Trainer Greg Hackett agreed, saying the Floyd who fought Canelo was a polished, complete fighter, very different from Crawford's wilder style.
I can't say he's capping. I can't, because I don't know what he felt. But when I heard that, what I think is, when Floyd beat me, I was 23, I wasn't polished. When Bud beat me, I was the man. I was the man. And he beat me fair and square. He beat me at my game and he beat me at his game. That's why Canelo said that. Do I believe that? It's tough to believe. But I can only take Canelo's word because he's the man that's been in the ring with both of them. But I understand why he said it. I was a kid when I fought Floyd. He wasn't a kid literally, but he was young. He was young. There was a lot he didn't know. There was a lot he didn't understand about boxing that he later on learned and got better. But Bud beat the better version of me, even though it's the ran down version. I'm saying that because it is some wear and tear there with Canelo. I've been saying it the whole time. When a guy got almost 70 fights in current time, with all those big camps he's been doing and all that, trust me, it's some wear and tear there. I'm not making excuses for Canelo. I'm just saying.
I don't know. That's what it gives it that air.
I also think you got to remember when you talking about a Mexican fighter, they big on punishment. He might also feel Crawford punches harder than Floyd and took more chances than Floyd took. Floyd really was super speed that night. Like, everything speed. And it irritated Canelo because Canelo couldn't do what he wanted to do. And he looked nothing like himself. Like I said, I think it was just times where Canelo felt like, damn, I could have had him. With Floyd, I think he felt like paralyzed. Like, damn, I can't catch this motherfucker. He too fast. But with Crawford, I felt like he maybe was saying, damn, I could have, if I would have threw this or if I would have did that. You know what I mean? Because it was times Crawford sat there and caught a punch and countered back. You know what I'm saying? He let Canelo throw, like, go ahead, throw your shit. He caught that shit, boom, and come right back with the hook. The same shot he caught Earl with. He was touching Canelo with some of that same shit, man. And it was just like, and it was times where Crawford was imposing himself on Canelo. He was stepping to Canelo at times. He didn't do it the whole fight, but I'm just saying it was times he stepped to him. Floyd did too, but Floyd just was so fast, so much faster. And the education was like totally different. Like when Canelo fought Floyd, Canelo was in middle school. He wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? Floyd by that time was already a Harvard graduate. You know what I'm saying? So
in Stephen A's own words,
I think that Floyd Mayweather was such a magician defensively. And we have to look at Floyd Money Mayweather in this regard. Once he moved up to welterweight, his hands were always damaged. So he kind of knew he wasn't going to be able to knock you out for the most part. And still, he walked into the ring and put on masterful performances because he was so superior, skill-wise and defensively. You can't say enough. Tonight with Crawford, for example, we saw him take a punch on several occasions. With Floyd, we didn't see that too often because you couldn't hit him. That's the difference.
Crawford proved his toughness by taking Canelo's punches and fighting back. But in Smith's view, the fact that Crawford had to show his chin at all was what separated him from Floyd. Soon, the debate shifted to a broader truth. These fighters belonged to different times. This wasn't only about skill. It was about eras. Crawford himself showed respect when he said, "Floyd is the best fighter in his era, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era."
Just got something that I want.
And it's not just the title, it's what else?
It's everything. He got everything. And I'm coming to get it.
When you beat him, you'll have everything?
That's right.
This angle adds important perspective. Greatness isn't one straight line, but something defined by each era. Age also complicates things. Floyd's uncle, Jeff Mayweather, reminded everyone that Floyd was already 36 and past his prime when he fought a young Canelo. Comparing that to a peak Crawford against a seasoned Canelo is never simple.
Remember, Canelo that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23? 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
a man that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
how you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime. You ain't in your prime when you're 36.
It puts the discussion not as a head-to-head matchup, but as two champions who ruled different eras in boxing history.
We've had a lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in the fight between Terence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
yes,
fight.
Yes, sir. I love you, Terence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah,
yes. he's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in that
sense is crazy. The funny thing about it is Terence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
But you gotta have an OG somewhere.
Anybody else? Yeah.
There's an OG
Somebody got a pioneer,
right?
Yeah, you gotta.
There's an OG you can't out-figure out somewhere. And I just believe Floyd is that OG you can't out.
The debate over styles and primes is messy, but one fact is clear. Terence Crawford has an achievement on his record that Mayweather never reached.
Accomplishments, He's three division undisputed. Moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
By beating Canelo, Crawford became the first male fighter in history to be undisputed champion in 3 separate divisions. The win was so big that major figure Turki Alalshik immediately called Crawford the fighter of the century. To make the comparison clearer, Mayweather won belts in 5 divisions, but he never held all 4 titles in any of them. Crawford, meanwhile, collected every belt in 3 divisions. It's a major difference that shows how their careers are defined. Crawford explained later that his training camp was built fully around strength to handle Canelo's power, and that preparation helped him reach this historic moment. His name is now carved into history in a way even Mayweather couldn't match. But their differences also came in how they built their careers. Floyd wasn't only a fighter, he was his own zoo. As Max Kellerman explained, once Floyd moved up from lightweight, his career became a lesson in smart matchmaking. He chose opponents, controlled timing, and made sure the risk always fit the reward.
Because, like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times.
That strategy has faced heavy criticism from today's fighters. Star Ryan Garcia said Mayweather knew exactly when to fight someone and when to avoid them, accusing him of damaging the sport by skipping opponents at their absolute best.
Y'all talking about this kid Ryan Garcia. Tank got his followers from kicking ass. Ryan Garcia got his followers from YouTubers. There's a difference. So you want to be a YouTuber or you want to be a fighter? Tank is a fighter.
How did Gervonta know that my rib got separated while I was in the fight? Or before the fight? How do you think they got the information? You got to pay. Who do you think told me that they paid? So I know how much money it takes to betray Ryan Garcia. I know a little glimpse.
Crawford, on the other hand, built his legacy by fighting anyone who stepped up. In a prime versus prime matchup, his physical advantages stand out. He's an inch taller and has a 3-inch reach advantage, which could have caused problems even for a peak Mayweather. His record is filled with tough fights because he constantly called out the best. Beyond that, legends and analysts highlight his physical tools. Boxing great Shane Mosley put it simply.
I think Crawford is better. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. But Mayweather is definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
While Mayweather was the careful builder of a perfect wall, Crawford was the fighter who stormed into every challenge and conquered. Still, not everyone accepts the comparison. Some critics argue the only thing they share is being 2 great black fighters. One analyst bluntly said, Terence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. They're just both black. That's the only similarity they have. They say Crawford likes to trade, drop his hands, and take risks, while Mayweather lived by defense, sharpness, and unmatched IQ. To them, these comparisons are fan hype, not reality. Adding to the drama, Crawford versus Canelo itself carried controversy. Before the fight, fans worried about the judges, as the same officials had scored the Manny Pacquiao draw. The tension grew when streamer Aiden Ross, who had a $1 million bet on Canelo, suddenly switched his bet to Crawford after a suspicious phone call, sparking accusations of insider tips.
Jordan, we're switching the bet.
Huh?
We're definitely switching our bet.
Oh what? What you mean?
No.
Don't stay with Canelo.
I'm going Crawford.
He's saying that.
This fueled conspiracy theories and added even more buzz to Crawford's win. So where does that leave us? On one side is Mayweather, the undefeated defensive mastermind who built a flawless career and empire. On the other side is Crawford, the fearless champion who became the first man to rule 3 divisions completely. Stephen A. Smith's words weren't just about a fight, they were about what greatness really means. Is it the untouchable genius who never slipped? Or the warrior who took every challenge and conquered them all? The answer may not lie in their records, but in how they changed what we believed was possible inside the ring. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and share your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.